This time on Perfect World Post-Production, we're going to build 5 essential create mod farms for the early game that every world needs. But first, in news that will surprise absolutely no one, I'm an idiot.
What are you?
An idiot sandwich.
So last episode I built this really cool portable storage hover truck and I added levers all over the place to lock the decorative funnels so they wouldn't throw things all over the floor. I completely forgot, however, that I can actually just take my wrench, right click them and make them face inwards. And that means they can't drop things on the floor. So I didn't need all these levers after all, but I do actually quite like how they look, so we're going to leave them now that they're there. But yeah, we should definitely try and remember that in future. I'm a bit embarrassed I actually completely forgot that was a thing. And it also turns out that these decorative lights here can be turned on. I just need to... Ooh, they actually have different styles as well. I didn't realize that. I think if I left click them or right click them, someone said that I could turn them on. Oh, wait a sec. I can change the angle on them as well. Well, I don't know, but there must be a way to turn them on. Nice to know we've got different styles though. Anyway, enough of that. Let's get these farms built. And we're going to do something a bit different. As for now, I think I'm just going to dig out some subterranean area to actually build these farms in, as today is not about making things pretty. It's about getting some basic resources so we can make things pretty in future. So I'm thinking if we maybe cut a little corridor in this wall here and go down, we can just carve out a great big cavern and build these basic farms down there. Oh, and as you can see, I've been doing a bit of clearance work in the meantime. I've chopped all of these trees down in this area just to see what land we're working with. And it's not looking too bad around here. I think we can make this look pretty cool. But anyway, I think it's time to crack on with an early mining montage. There we go, one big square hole. Now let's fill it with some farms, starting with a sheep farm, or more specifically, a wool farm, but we do need to get lots of sheep to make that happen. And the reason wool is so useful in the early game is because of power. The wool is very useful for making windmills, and if we're doing solar punk, we're definitely going to need lots of it. Now the sheep farm should be fairly straightforward, but the first thing we're going to need is a bunch of sheep and some grass blocks, which might be a problem because I don't think we have any. No, we don't have silk touch yet, but we are going to need to get grass down here, so we might just contraption a bunch from up the top. I guess we can just sort of glue some together, turn it into a contraption, bring it downstairs. That should work. Let's get some glue and a few other bits and bobs. We're going to need a mine cart. We're going to need a cart assembler. We're going to need a lever. Right, so we don't need to steal much. We just need something to get this started. So let's just take this chunk off the end here. I forgot to bring any rail with me. And let's steal the grass. Now, let's put this farm over on this side, I think. If we just do that, put the cart assembler down with the contraption. There we go. We now have grass underground. Now, how big do we want this sheep farm to be? I guess we're probably going to want about 10 to 15 sheep, which means we're going to want plenty of grass. And to make sure the grass grows nice and quickly, we're actually going to put another layer of dirt down below here. So we'll get this all grassed over first. And then even if the sheep eat everything on the top, all of this will still grow through to the next layer. Want to make sure our sheep are well fed. There we go. It's already spreading to this layer. That means we can just spam down a bunch of lights and get it all covered over. I reckon that'll be enough space to have a whole bunch of sheep that we can share. And the underneath is spreading nicely too. Excellent. So let's get this fenced in and get some sheep in there, and then we'll figure out how we're going to share them. When it comes to the fence, we've got some pretty cool fences thanks to the McCaw's Fences mod. How many times can I say fences in one sentence? But I like the look of these things. They're pretty cool. And I think I'm just going to put a pillar in on either side here, because on this back wall here, we need to have some kind of harvesting device. Although, if I hang it from above, that might actually work a little bit better. So, let me think about this. We're going to want the deployers at this level. We want them hanging under a minecart, so maybe if we were to put a beam across here, then I think something like that should work. But I need to go make myself lots of deployers and a few other bits and bobs. Now, I believe I have everything I need. Let's start by getting the deployers on, and we're just going to rotate that round. So that's the deployers. They're going to share anything here and here, hopefully. I might need to lower them by a block, but I think that'll work. Then up here, we need one of those, which we do need powered. Why are the arrows white? Shouldn't they be red? Weird. Still works. Then we're just going to have a bunch of rail with another powered rail on this side. We'll get that powered. Then we need a cart assembler. Set this to lock rotation. And then we just need to get this attached. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Then we just need somewhere to offload the wool. So let's do that over here. We'll just have some chutes come down into a barrel. Although, actually, let's make that a drawer. Now, if I just glue all of this together, we'll add a barrel on there for actually storing the wool. And we're going to need some shears as well, which tells me I'm going to need to put a filtered chute in here, just to make sure we're only taking out the wool and we're not removing any shears. And it looks like we have what we need to be able to make a smart chute. So we'll put that there. We're going to filter all of these to only hold shears. And now all we need is a bunch of sheep. So let's go hunting. Well, we only managed to get 2 sheep, but we can breed them up, and hopefully by the end of the episode we'll have a lot more. But I think we're actually good to get this thing going. Although it appears I've forgotten to glue this barrel here on, which is just as well because I forgot to set the filter there, which means all of the shears from this barrel did empty out, but there was only a couple, so not a problem. But now we can start that up again. And there we go, our wool farm. And if we just get a few more beams in, a little bit of light, so we're not relying on these torches. But that is our first farm complete. So next up, we're going to solve our food problem, at least temporarily, which means we're going to need to make some harvesters and a little crop field over here. Another straightforward yet essential farm. And we do have some rich soil and a little bit of compost, which will make things actually grow a little bit quicker. Question is, can I make any more compost? No. I mean, the only thing I'm missing is straw, and I'll probably be able to make a few more, but not lots. I mean, I've got 25 flesh. I've got a bunch of bone meal. So, I mean, I guess I could make like another 12 blocks, which, as I say, isn't going to be loads, but it's better than nothing, I suppose. So let's just go out and get some more straw, which means we're going to need this knife and some grass. I've got plenty of straw, and good news, I found another sheep. So let's make up as much compost as we can. That's 24, so we'll have 30 in total. That's not awful, I suppose. So we just need to put this out and wait, but it's sped up by sunlight, adjacent water, and adjacent activators. So if we just come down here and do something like this, then put some soil in between, just spread it out a little bit. And then another row here. We've got soil, we've got sunlight, we've got water. Hopefully, this won't take too long to turn. So while we're waiting for all the compost to turn into rich soil, I'm going to mark out where the farm's going to go. We're just going to use dirt for now, and we'll replace it with soil as and when we can. And I think for this one, what we're going to do is have harvesters running on the ground here. So if we just sink down an area, then we can put the rail on there. The minecart will go backwards and forwards, and it's going to harvest these fields. And although it's not loads of space for lots and lots of crops, it should be enough just to get some stuff growing to tide us over until we build a proper farm, which probably won't be too far in the future. So let's go get more minecart bits, make some harvesters, and get another contraption on the go. Okay, so I think I've got what we need. Let's start by putting in the minecarts. So we'll have a rail, a cart assembler, more normal rail, a powered rail that side. Then we're going to have a bunch of harvesters. We'll have a barrel, and we need a portable storage interface. Now let's get all of this glued together. Stick a cart in there, so that should start going backwards and forwards. Oh, I didn't set it to not rotate. It's going crazy. So let's lock the rotation this time. Right, there we go. That's better. Although I think it actually needs to go back a block further. Otherwise, it's not going to harvest these crops on the end here. Alrighty, there we go. That's better. Although I think I also need to make it go 1 block further this way. And there we go. That is now harvesting the entire field. Excellent. So now what we need is somewhere to offload everything, and that should connect. Yep, perfect. And then from there, we can just feed everything into a section of drawers. But I don't actually know how much different stuff we're going to be storing yet. But I guess I can just make a whole bunch of drawers and then work it out from there. What we're also going to need is a drawer controller. We're going to need some funnels, and I'm going to need probably item drains. Guess that's the best way to do it without power. So with this drawer controller and a section of drawers, we should be able to get a nice little storage system working. So we'll start off with a drawer controller there. Then we'll put in a bunch of drawers, a couple of item drains, brass funnel there, and andesite funnel going into that. And now in theory, anything we put in there should get offloaded via here. There we go. And then it gets picked up by the storage. Perfect. Now let's feed our sheep so we can get some more. We're doing quite well here so far. We've already got over a stack of wool. Amazing. But the real question is, how is our soil doing? I know this stuff isn't a quick process. Okay, well, we've got some. Still not enough, though. But as the soil's going to take a while, I guess for now, what we can do is actually just pick this up because it's annoying at the moment. But if we just turn all this into farmland, then we can at least plant some crops and get some stuff on the go because I am running quite low on food. Although now the question is, what do we want to plant? Let's see what we've got. Oh my days. I really need to light this place up better. Let's just quickly repair all of this. Right, we can pretend that didn't happen. Where were we? Let's start in the kitchen. So we've got onion, carrot, potato, wheat seeds, of course, beetroot seeds, tomato seeds, cabbage seeds. This is good. Certainly enough to make a start with at least. So if we do potatoes, carrots, onion that I can't seem to plant there for some reason. Can't seem to plant anything there. That's weird. Anyway, beetroots, we've got some of that as well. Some cabbage. And maybe there just wasn't enough light there for me to plant things. Yeah, I think that was the case. But anyway, right, we've got potatoes, carrots, onions, beetroots, cabbage, tomato, and we want lots of wheat. So let's plant a good few rows of this. I'll tell you what, I think we're going to do 2 rows of tomatoes and 2 rows of cabbages. And we can put that down, get that started. And there we go. That's farm number 2 complete. Once again, not exactly looking great, but it should do what we want it to, which is make lots of food. So that's a wool farm done. That's some food done. Next up, I think it's time to tackle a tree farm. So for the trees, we're probably going to want a little bit more height. So I think what I'm going to do is create a sort of sunken down area over here. We'll just go down probably another 5 blocks or so. We'll grow the trees down there, chop them down, and store everything potentially on the same wall. I mean, there's no reason why not, I guess. But I do feel like I want to knock this wall here back another couple of blocks, just to give me a bit more space to grow a few different tree types. And a short while later, this pit should do for growing our trees. We've got space here for pale oak and dark oak, and then we're just going to do single spruce and jungle, oak, birch. We're not going to do mangrove down here. And when we get cherry, we'll do that as well. I think that's all the trees. I've probably forgotten something. But either way, we're just going to make use of the space we've got, and we're just going to have a big spinny saw that goes round and replants things. Although if I'm going to have a spinning thing, this should probably be an odd number of blocks wide, not an even number. So let's just quickly make this a little bit smaller. There we go. Now we actually have a central point. So let's grab a bunch of saplings. And to be honest, the fancy soil that we've got out there, I wonder if that might actually be more useful down here. If we're only going to have 1 or 2 of most of the tree types, using the soil down here means it's going to grow much quicker, and that means we're going to get more wood. That just sounds like a good idea. And it looks like the crops are starting to come in as well. We've got beetroot, carrots, onions, tomatoes. Although we are going to take the onions and carrots and get those replanted. Got to get the fields full up after all. Same with the tomatoes, actually. Right, anyway, I'm getting distracted. Let's figure out this tree farm. So we're going to need a bunch of saws that will spin around and cut down the trees. I think I want to have some harvesters as well around this sort of level that will actually harvest some leaves as they go around, because they're always useful. We're going to need more storagey bits so that we can expand this wall to store all the wood and leaves. We're going to need a windmill bearing and some wool, which is easy enough now we've got our sheep farm. And then we're also going to need deployers to replant all the saplings, and to make sure they're planting the same things, I think we can use a schematic. I've not really done it before, but I believe you can put schematics in deployers and then they'll actually kind of build whatever it is in the schematic, as long as they're pointing at the right block. So let's get all the mechanical bits built up and we'll see if we can get the blueprint thing working. All right, I think I've got everything we're going to need. So the first thing we're going to do is just go down here, chuck in a bucket of water, and then a water wheel. And there we go, wonderful. We'll just take that shaft out for now. In fact, I'm going to lower all of this by a block. All right, now let's build this thing. And we'll start off with a row of saws at the bottom. Then we'll have deployers a couple of blocks above those. And then we'll have some harvesters at the top here. So that's going to grab some leaves, that's going to chop them down, and that's going to plant the saplings. And we'll stick a barrel in there. In fact, I think I want the drop off for this thing to be over on this side, so it might make more sense to actually build everything over this way. Because I'm just thinking about the replanting of the saplings. If it goes this way, swings around here, chops down all the trees, and then offloads everything, it's not going to have any saplings when it goes back to replant things. Whereas if we go this way, it'll go around, chop down all the trees, and pick up the saplings. Then on the way back, it can plant everything, and then any leftovers can then get picked up. And I think that's definitely a better way of doing it. There we go. That's better. And for a contraption, this should now work. So when powered, that's going to spin round in circles. The problem with that is it's going to go through the wall. We want it to actually go and come back. So we need a sequenced gear shift that we can shove down here and replace this shaft. And we also need some bits to sort out the drop-off system as well. So a sequenced gear shift is fairly straightforward, thankfully. I thought I might need a precision mechanism there for a moment, but I'm glad we don't. I'm already sick of making those things. Right, that's the storage side sorted. We've just done the same thing we did on the other side. We've just got funnels over drains going into the drawer here. Now for the sequenced gear shift. The first thing we're going to do is right-click that just to make sure it is actually active. And what we want to do is turn that by 180. Then turn it by 180 in the other direction. Then await a new redstone pulse, which means we're also going to need to make a timer. I forgot about that part. But for now, let's just see if it does what we want it to do, preferably without hurting myself. Okay, well, it goes the wrong way round, but it does go 180, then 180. Okay, so all I need to do is change the directions here, give it another redstone pulse, and yep, there we go. Wonderful. Now let's go grab the soil, get the saplings planted, and make a blueprint. And hopefully that's going to tell our deployers what to do. Oh yes, look at that. All of our soil's done. Wonderful. Let's get all of this dirt replaced. So we need to grow pale oak in a 4. We need to grow dark oak in a 4. And can we get away with like 2 jungle, 2 acacia, 2 spruce, 2 birch, and 2 oak? So that should work. Now I need to take a schematic of this layout of trees. We'll call that tree farm. Now if I give this schematic to these guys, then do a little test run. What in the world has happened here? Ah, okay. So the going backwards and forwards isn't going to work because when it starts chopping, it will then stop and go backwards. So I guess we can't do that. And we might just have to stick with the shaft after all, which means we may need to change where the deployers sit, but let's quickly make a few tests here. So let's just stick a shaft in there, and that is going the wrong way. So let's just move the bucket of water over to that side, and there we go. Okay, so that should now spin round, and hopefully it's still going to replant. Nope, nothing's getting replanted at all here. And there are saplings in the barrels, so why are they not replanting? Maybe I need to do a little bit more research into how this blueprint thing works. Would it be on the ponder for the deployer? Oops. Oh no, I haven't set my spawn. Must have destroyed my bed. Luckily home's not too far, only 1,500 blocks. We can just make a boat and get back. Right, I've got my stuff back, and I've also noticed that the saws don't actually go through these jungle trees, so we need to make the thing longer as well. But it seems to be having a few issues. It's not dropping anything off, which is really weird, because it is connecting. See? So I'm not sure why that's happening. Let's see if we can jump out and do some tests over here, I guess. So is it to do with the item drains? No. Is it to do with the placement of the funnel? It shouldn't be. Nope, still nothing coming out. How strange is that? I mean, I'm very confused about that. So we definitely need to make a few changes here. But at the moment, I don't know what they are. But essentially, these guys aren't planting anything. This guy's not dropping anything off. Although it did at first because it's put some stuff in here. So yeah, I'm very confused. Very confused indeed. I'm going to troubleshoot this for a bit and I'll bring you back in when I've figured out what it was. Or at least got it working. Okay, so the schematic thing was because I didn't set the position of the schematics. So now, if I replace these and give it a spin, it should plant the things. Yeah, there we go. It's replanted now. So that's the schematic side of things done. Now to work out why it's not dropping things off. So after a bit of messing around, I couldn't really figure out what the problem was, so I decided just to completely rebuild the farm in a different way, and just resort to using the minecart backwards and forwards trick that we've done for the first 2 farms. So I squared everything off, replanted the saplings, rebuilt the contraption, and then hooked up the delivery system, and now it appears to be working much better, which is good. And we've got the delivery drop-off point over here, which is actually working now. It's weird, it doesn't seem to work every time it goes past, but it does work sometimes. Either way, it's not getting backed up, so that's good. I've done it in such a way that the deployers are just behind the source, so they should replant, but they have another opportunity to replant on the way back as long as they get enough saplings. I do actually need to plant a couple more over here. And to make the storage work, we've actually just got everything going into a storage drawer controller over here, and then we've used the trim blocks from storage drawers just to link it up to this system here. It just connects round the back and underneath, and that means that everything can get dropped off over here, which is wonderful. But we've been here for that long, we can probably fill up the rest of our crop field now. There we go. That's a full field over there. How's the wool doing? 773. Okay, fine. Yeah, we definitely don't need any more sheep. They are feeding well. So although this place looks a little bit messy, we're doing pretty well. We've got our tree farm going, and we've got most of the wood types, which is nice. We've got food automated. We've got wool automated. So I think it's time for the next farm. And thankfully, this one's going to be much simpler. And what I want to do is automate some basic building blocks. So we're going to do cobble, gravel, sand, and as byproducts, that means we'll also get clay and flint, and then we'll maybe automate some other bits as well, but we'll start with just those 4, I think. But this is the first farm that's actually going to need quite a bit of power. So for now, to get power, I think we're just going to use water wheels. So let's dig out a nice area over here. And I know we have lots of wool, so we could make windmills, but I have plans for that. That should be enough power for now. So I've gathered together a bunch of stuff. Let's start working out this farm. And I think we're going to have 5 different things coming out of this. So for the first one, we're just going to make a cobble generator. So this one's going to be nice and simple. We just need chutes like that. Then we need a drill. We do, of course, need to make sure these drills are going to have power. So let's use encased chain drives around the back for now. And then we're going to make a little place for the lava to go. And that's where the cobble's going to generate. So in fact, we don't want that there at all. We just want cobble going down there, going into this box. Perfect. Now we're just going to repeat this setup for another cobble generator. That one's going to generate the cobble, grind it down into gravel. So next up we want sand. So we need another cobble generator. Now thinking about it, what I might actually do is move these boxes forward slightly. Then we're going to stick in another belt that runs across the front here, because that means what we can then do is raise the belt here up by a spot, have it come across the top here, because what we want to be doing is turning the gravel from this one into sand, which means we need crushing wheels. So we can put them up there, get these belts connected up, and in case chain drive in there as well. Then we'll put a chute there that will dump everything down onto this belt. And then all I need is a draw controller. We're going to put that there with a funnel. Then once we get everything powered, so let's just sort out this bit, because that's going to need a couple of gearboxes and a shaft. Nope, not facing that way, but facing that way. That should make sure this belt goes that way. These belts will all go this way. We need to actually get everything powered, so let's run that through the wall here. Okay, that's going to get the drills spinning. Now we just need to sort out the belts down here. So we can take that from that encased chain drive, then a couple of gearboxes. Oh, almost. They go the wrong way. There we go. That's all running at max speed as well, so we should get stuff nice and quickly. Now, I'm just going to turn this off briefly while we get all the lava and water in the top. In fact, I should probably finish sealing all of this up as well. There we go. So we'll put cobble in the middle. We'll put lava on this side. We'll put water on the drills. And that should now be creating cobble. Yep. And then we should start getting... Oh, no, we're not going to get gravel. I need to actually get those spinning. And I think the easiest way to do that is going to be to put some shafts here with a cog there. Overstressed. Oh man, I honestly thought that would be enough water wheels. How much slower do we need to make it? All right, so we can get it running at 241 SU out of 256 as soon as we put it up a notch. too much. But that's fine for now, I guess. But look at that. We are getting cobble, gravel, sand, clay, and flint. Now, these drawers are going to fill up quite quickly. I think at the moment they can only hold about sort of 30 stacks or so. So let's get those drawers some upgrades. And I want to put some void upgrades on them as well, so they don't clog the system if they get full. Which means we're going to need quite a lot of obsidian. So we'd either pop to the nether and get some magma blocks and then wash them, which may well be the best method, I guess. I feel like it's probably going to be the quickest. So let's just offload everything we don't need. Make sure we've got a full belly. And let's see if we can find some magma. And there are a few blocks here and there, but ideally I just want one nice big patch. So our best bet is probably going to be to dig down over here until we get to the lava lake. Maybe here isn't a good place to dig. Let's maybe start a little bit higher up here and hope we can dig into some actual terrain instead of just big holes. And we get some basalt out of it too, so it's not all bad. There we go. That's what I'm talking about. Got 5 and a bit stacks. That should do the trick. And we can chuck all of these magma blocks into our washer over here. That will turn them into obsidian. Wonderful. Let's just grab that. And when it comes to actually upgrading how much stuff they can hold, we're going to be limited to just iron, sadly. So we're going to need lots of these upgrade templates. Then we're going to make loads of these. And we're going to spam upgrades on lots of these things. Apart from the flint. We don't really want lots of flint. We just want to be able to... Can I put that on here? Oh no, I made the wrong things. I didn't make the void ones. They're the ones I meant to make. Wasted loads of my obsidian. Well, I've still managed to get some void upgrades, I guess. Now we're just going to spam these with the iron upgrades. I'm going to do the same over here with the woods and the leaves and so on. So I've got as many upgrades on as I can. They're all up to max storage with iron upgrades at least anyway. I put void things on a bunch of them, but I am going to need to go get some more obsidian because I crafted it into the wrong thing. Silly beardy. But that's now 4 of the 5 farms that we needed to make. The 5th one, however, we're actually going to be making outside. And that's because what I want to do is just farm up a bunch of kelp. It's only going to be a temporary farm. We're just going to dump it down out here for a little while. It'll do its thing. And then once we've got a reasonable amount of kelp and we decide what we're doing out the front here, I'll just remove the farm. But for this one, we just need a bunch of harvesters. We need a windmill bearing. We've got a drawer to store everything in, and we're going to need a bunch of wool and some super glue. Right. This is going to be a nice, quick and dirty farm, this one. So we're going to find a nice, dense patch of kelp, and over here is looking pretty good. We're going to put a mechanical bearing facing down. I mean, a windmill bearing, of course, sorry, not a mechanical bearing. And then we're going to put the wool here. We're going to put 8 harvesters on the front. So the wool is going to hold the harvesters as well as actually powering the thing. And then if we give this drawer a bunch of upgrades, set it to kelp. And I'm just going to grab a little bit of extra kelp from outside where our farm is. Oh, and try not to drown in the process. And let's just get this planted all around where our farm is. So we'll get an even denser patch of kelp eventually. All right, and if I click that... Oh, it's going the wrong way. Let's change it so it's going in that direction. And it looks like we can't actually use the drawers on the contraptions, which is a shame. I thought we could. Not to worry, we'll just grab a double chest instead. And to be honest, I should probably grab some food. So let's just attach a bunch of chests to the back here. And then that's going to get us lots of kelp, which is essential for making belts, of course, in Create, as well as funnels and tunnels and things like that. But because we've got Farmer's Delight, we can also actually turn kelp into food. So having a steady supply of this is going to be very useful to us. And it doesn't matter that it's going so slow because that just gives the kelp in the farm more time to grow, which is probably a good thing. But look at that. We've already got 25 just from the first circle. Good stuff. Right. Well, that is our 5th farm, which gives us the 5 basic farms we're going to need to actually progress with Create. I mean, there's a whole bunch of other farms we also need to make, but these ones are definitely needed. Which means the next episode, we can actually focus on getting a proper power source, something a bit more useful than just a whole bunch of water wheels. And then we should probably think about making our workshop. But sadly, that's all we've got time for. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye now.